Are you, are you going to agree? Our freedoms are waning and we'll lose our liberty, slipping one by one until there's nothing left to see. Are you willing to stand with me? Are you just going to let it be? The ranchers are first, but brother, next it may be me. We all stand together or we'll hang separately. Are you going to the tree? Are you willing to be free? It won't get any easier to regain lost liberty. Strange things are happening in this land that once was free. So brother, I ask you, are you going to stand by me?
Hello, it's Robert again. I haven't put out a video for a while. I've been working pretty steady. I haven't had a lot of time. I've been listening though, and I want to put a call out to all Americans to love. I know how cheesy it sounds, but that's exactly what we need at this time. A whole bunch of love, because not everybody is affected by the government. And most who are affected by the government don't understand it. We have all sorts kinds of distractions going on right now. We have the sheriff, who's willing to deputize everybody in his county. Bravo. I mean, that is excellent. And I mean, that's what we need, guys. We need those sheriffs to be out there. We need law enforcement. People too often confuse this Patriot movement as people who don't want to follow the law. It's actually quite the opposite. They want to uphold the law for everybody, not just the citizens, but for the government too. Everybody needs to follow by the law. That dude is awesome. I applaud him. I'm sorry I can't remember his name. Patriot County, if I remember correctly. We have the loss of faith in the system. You know, we have other cops that are just beating the crap out of people, shooting people like they're, whack-a-mole or something. Pop up and shoot them. And it is that officer specifically's fault that happened. But it's not law enforcement's fault in general. I don't know if you guys have seen some of their training videos, but the way they're training these guys, they're trained to kill people. I mean, that's part of the problem. See, up there at the refuge, there's lots of reporters that are saying that there was so many different agendas up there that it was hard for them to figure out what agenda they were going on. That's part of the misinformation. There's only one agenda. The whole time up there's only one agenda. There was goals within that agenda, but there was always just one agenda. That's to roll back government overreach. Okay, we have lawless politicians that just do whatever they want. And when blatantly they say so, then sometimes Americans get mad. But for the most part, we just allow it. You think that they're better than you somehow. You think because they're politicians, they have more rights than you. You think that they're cops, they have more rights than you. And, there are people out there, no, I don't believe that. Okay, so would you give me your name, your full name? I want your first, last, middle. I want your date of birth, your weight, your eye color, hair color. If you're willing to give up your organs upon your death to somebody else who may need them. And I just want you to just leave that in the comment area. That's not something reasonable. That's not something for somebody to ask you. But a cop, a perfect stranger, can walk up, and if you do not give that information, you can be charged with a crime. It's a fact. You can be charged with a crime because you did not give them that information. Okay, you got the world news. Okay, there's stuff going on in Syria. People are familiar with Agenda 21. If you're not, get familiar with it. That's where all this ties together. But it's going as planned. And sorry, by the way, I haven't been able to figure out exactly hold this camera, so I'm just holding it in my hand, so I'm shaking all over the place. But anyways, the agenda is to stop government overreach. That means Black Lives Matter. This is your fight. All lives matter. This is your fight. 3%ers. This is your fight. Every American. This is your fight. I don't care how old you are. I don't care. I'm going to start taking my kids to every protest that I can get away with, that I could fit in my car. We need to get our kids involved. We need to, and don't take them to something violent, of course. A protest is not supposed to be violent. And I guarantee you that the type of people you're going to be around at one of these Patriot protests, they will protect your kids. Up there in Burns, when the refuge was taken initially, we weren't sure what was going on. And those locals down there sensed my distress that my daughter was there. So what'd they do? They encircled my daughter. And we stood as literal shields in case something happened. These guys will protect your kids. If stuff goes hot, you can leave. If not, teach your kids. Teach your kids that when somebody at school says something wrong, that they can intelligently teach them how they're wrong. Our kids are our future. And see, with all this stuff going on, then the public school system, that's a whole nother subject. With all this stuff going on through Syria, we're not going to be able to change world policy. The government, it's obvious the government's not listening to us. We're not going to be able to stop them from doing this stuff that may create World War III. So what can we do? It feels a lot hopeless. Well, we start prepping. And I know there's a lot of preppers out there. Store your rice in a bucket, get beans. I like ramen, chili in a can. But anyways, that's not the kind of prepping I'm talking about. The kind of prepping I'm talking about is prep yourself with a community of people. Now, you don't need to have a huge store of food if you guys all get together. And knowledge is power. Start setting up your community. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to people around you. This internet, YouTube is excellent. But if it hits the fan, I love you guys, but I don't know where any of you guys live. And I put my address out there a couple of times, people telling me that they're going to send feds after me. But I'm not going to put it out. I decided I'm not going to put out my address anymore. My name's Robert James Royal Jones. I live in Nampa, Idaho. Just like I told that BK Entertainment or whatever his thing is in his comments. But I don't know where any of you guys live. How can we communicate? How do we even know what each other looks like for the most part? You need to make real live connections in your community. That's where your safety is going to be. Continue to prep. Put your rice up. Put your beans up. Get ready in that instance. And while you're doing it, if you have the means, get ready for your neighbor too. Store stuff for your neighbors too. So that when it does hit the fan, that you have plenty to share. And get to know your neighbors. So when the time comes, you can share whatever it is you got. Maybe you got a bunch of rice. They got a bunch of chicken. I don't know. You put it together, you got something of a meal. I mean, and that's not just with food. I mean, that's with anything. They got experience on how to fix plumbing pipes. You don't. They have experience on wiring stuff. You don't. You have experience on fixing cars. They don't. Your community is where it's really at. Why why our older generation has been respected throughout history is because they have more knowledge and more wisdom when it comes to applying that knowledge. Now, wisdom can only come through time, but knowledge can not only come from you, but it can come from your neighbors, can come from your friends. Start reaching out, start talking out about the government. Start and not the Constitution, the government and their overreach and how they think they can do whatever they want, whenever they want. And they're proving that to us. And, you know, the stuff up at the refuge was not a psyop as far as it was fake. Okay? But I gotta say, they sure are antagonizing the American people a bunch. They keep pushing these arrests. They keep talking about how basically anybody who speaks out will be arrested. Well, they know I was there. I'm sure they know I was there. You know, some of you guys out there saying you're going to turn me into the FBI. Good luck with that. Don't you think they know? I mean, they know a heck of a lot more than we think they do. But I think that there's a lot more of them who fundamentally do not agree with this overreach. That if we can reach them in a peaceful way, then we can reach them and they will be on our side. Remember, anybody who stands on God's side stands on my side. So if you stand on God's side, I stand on your side and you stand on mine. I don't care your religion. I believe that, honestly, I believe the Mormon religion is fatally flawed. But I don't care if you're a Mormon. Catholics, same way. But I don't care. That doesn't matter. Because God speaks to each one of us the way he speaks to each one of us. And we need to start prepping ourselves. And the way we prep ourselves is by our neighbors, by our friends, by educating ourselves, and by getting out and doing something. I mean, I make a call out to all Americans, period. Law enforcement, federal employees, people on food stamps. Remember, guys out there, not everybody on this assistance is just using the system. A lot of times the system is using them. Think about it. You are completely dependent for your food, for your housing, from the government. You do whatever they say, or you don't get that funding. You don't get that housing. You're out on the street living in a car. Some people, yes, they abuse it. But there's a lot of us out here. I get food stamps. And we don't get a lot, but this is what it breaks down to. When me and my wife both work full-time jobs, I got to make $12 an hour and work 40 hours a week to break even. To break even with my expenses, my gas, you eat lunch more when you're working. You have to have prepared lunches more, which is more expensive than me just making something here. I smoke a different kind of, I buy store-bought cigarettes when I smoke, when I'm working. There's costs that come involved in that. And so in the end, I don't know how much we're getting because I don't deal with that stuff. But when it comes down to where you don't have any food in the house, you're both working, you don't have any food in the house, and your power's going to be shut off tomorrow. Sometimes you got to swallow your pride and tell your wife to go down there and never show you the card or you rip it up. But I mean, that's where the government has put us. The American dream is supposed to be that we can work off the land and not have to slave for anybody else. That we can make our own way without having to have a boss. That we can be our own boss. That we can be our own man. What happened to that American dream? That's the American dream I'd love. I try to set myself up as best I can. And still, the treadmill goes on. I'm not saying don't be concerned about all these distractions, but don't let it take your eyes off the goal. The goal is to stop government overreach in every shape and form, whether that's stealing land from ranchers or that's harassing some guy for his ID when he has done nothing wrong. He's videotaping you. So you're offended by him videotaping you. And get out there and videotape. Everybody, videotape. I don't care what it is. Anytime there's law enforcement thing, videotape it. Even if they're doing it right, videotape it. Get them used to it. Get them used to being videotaped all the time. And maybe they will have a better sense of responsibility. Oh, I'm about out of time. So, anyways, the main thing is get out, do something, start with yourself, see where you could be wrong, and correct your ways, see how you can stand up, and then help others to do the same.